Hey, what up, guys? So coming to you this morning, we're going to do the preview and prediction for this big weekend coming up in boxing. Got quite a bit of fights to talk about. I think a total of 8 fights I'm going to break down and talk about. So it'll probably be, a little bit of a lengthy video here, not too long, hopefully. But we're going to start with Friday night on ESPN Plus. You got the main event. I believe it starts at 6:30. You're going to see undefeated Teofimo Lopez taking on Masahiro Nakatani from Japan. This fight is a final eliminator in the IBF, with the winner to get a crack at the IBF lightweight title, which is currently held by Richard Comey. This is kind of a setup to get Lopez in a championship fight because Bob Arum and Top Rank really want to get Lopez and Lomachenko together, and that would be actually by next year. It'd be for the undisputed world title because Lomachenko's taking on Luke Campbell at the end of August, where he's going to be a heavy favorite in that fight. So I think this fight right here, a win for Lopez or even Nakatani, would put him in against the against Comey probably later in the year. And then we could see Lomachenko and Lopez, at some point. But that, is all the backstory. Let's the fight itself. I've never seen Nakatani fight. Lopez is on a roll. I think Lopez is going to knock out Nakatani and shouldn't have any issues with him unless he's completely overlooking him and he gets caught. But I think Lopez is going to win this bout outright and punch his ticket for his first world title shot. So we'll see. That's Friday on ESPN Plus. Then Saturday on DAZN, we have, starting at 10 in the morning, it's coming from the United Kingdom. We got a big heavyweight card. There's actually the only fight that's not heavyweight is a cruiserweight fight, and they're still trying to finalize an opponent for some guy named Lawrence Okoli. But the other 3 fights, the heavyweight fights, first up, you're going to see Derek Chisora, former world title challenger, taking on Artur Szpilka, another former world title challenger. Szpilka is actually, he had a highlight reel knockout loss to Deontay Wilder a couple years back when he challenged Wilder for the WBC title. You really should go check that out. My opinion, that was Wilder's best knockout, and he's had a lot of good ones. So you should go check that one out. And then you got Chisora, who's coming off of last December, a highlight reel knockout loss to Dillian Whyte. But Chisora was winning that fight, so he's trying to get back in the mix. He's a game veteran, and, they're trying to set up a possible showdown with Joseph Parker later in the year. So Chisora versus Szpilka. I think Chisora is going to get a decision victory here and keep moving forward towards something bigger. In the co-feature, you got undefeated David Allen, a heavyweight from the United Kingdom, taking on David Price, who's kind of a journeyman, somewhat of a journeyman heavyweight, but he's kind of a stepping stone guy. I'd look at him more. You kind of, if you can knock out a guy like David Price, which a few guys have, then you have a chance, But if David Allen can't knock David Price out, we might have to wonder how good David Allen really is. It's going to be a test. I'm going with Allen to get the knockout win here over Price and push forward towards something bigger later on down the road. So we'll see. But in the main event, it's a big-time, top 10 heavyweight fight. You got Dillian Whyte, game British contender, only lost to Anthony Joshua back in 2016 or 15. And in a good fight, he got knocked out, but he hurt Joshua early in that fight. He's taking on Oscar Rivas, who is currently my number 10 heavyweight in the world. I got Dillian Whyte at number 6. It's a WBC, I believe, a final eliminator, because White's already the number 1 contender. So I think this will be considered a final eliminator with the winner to be in line for, Deontay Wilder or Luis Ortiz, that winner of that fight that takes place in September. So pretty good fight right here, heavyweight battle. I really think it could go either way, but I'm giving it to Dillian Whyte. I think he's got the experience. I think he's going to get a decision win or stop Rivas late in the fight, in the middle to later rounds. But Rivas, he came in the underdog against Brian Jennings back in January, and he had to dig deep late in the fight, but he got a knockout win. and stayed, and punched his ticket into the top 10. So we'll see how he does in this one against White. It's going to be a good one on the 20th on DAZN. Again, that starts at 10 a.m. in the morning. Now, the big fight of the weekend is next on Fox pay-per-view. You are going to be seeing a huge 4-fight card. Of course, Manny Pacquiao and Thurman is the main event. I will talk about that at the end of this. We're going to get to the undercard first. We start with the 2 welterweight matchups on the undercard. You got Sergey Lipinets, former junior welterweight champion at 140, and he's currently my 9th ranked welterweight in the world right now, 147. He's coming off his biggest career victory, a 10th round stoppage of Lamont Peterson, and where he put Peterson into retirement. He's going to be taking on John Molina Jr., former world title challenger, always a tough slugger, and not an easy guy to get out of there. He's a game fighter, but he's hittable, and I think this is going to be a pretty solid scrap right here between these two guys. I got Lipinets winning by a late stoppage or a decision, but I really think Molina has a chance here because Lipinets is a scrappy fighter too, who likes to mix it up. So I really think this is going to be a good battle on the undercard right here. Lipinets, John Molina Jr. Next up, also on the undercard, is Yordenis Ugas taking on undefeated former lightweight champion Omar Figueroa Jr. Big fight right here. Omar Figueroa, he's been very inactive the last few years. Injuries have really kept him out of the ring. He came back in February after another 1.5-year layoff, and he took on John Molina Jr. and got a controversial unanimous decision in that fight. It was a good, hard-fought battle between the two. He's going against Ugas, who is coming off of a controversial split decision loss against Sean Porter, which was back in March. I really think Porter, that Ugas is motivated after that decision loss, and he's kind of an awkward fighter. Figueroa just comes straight forward and throws punches. He's a scrappy Mexican fighter. It's going to be interesting, but I really think Ugas is going to weather whatever storm Figueroa has, and I think he's going to get a decision victory here and push himself back into the title mix. So should be a good welterweight clash right there. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the co-feature or kicking off the show, but it is a title fight. For the IBF Super Middleweight Championship, which is 168 pounds, you're going to see Caleb Plant coming off of winning his world title back in January when he upset Jose Ustadegui. He is going to be taking on undefeated Mike Lee. Really Mike Lee hasn't really done much as a fighter. He's more known for being a standout football player at Notre Dame, but he's undefeated, hasn't really done much. He stayed more territorial, fighting locally, and that's why he's still undefeated. He hasn't really been tested. I think Caleb Plant is going to break him down, beat him up, and I got Plant scoring a decision victory here, but Plant is talented, and I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again. And then in the main event, you got the Pac-Man taking on Keith Thurman, WBA Welterweight Super Championship on the line here. I think this is going to be a really good fight. I really think it could go either way. I love the matchup. I can't wait to see it. Pacquiao, a little bit over 40 now. Thurman, looked really bad in his recent fight with Josecito Lopez. He looked like he was very rusty after almost a 2-year layoff. I really think this fight could go either way. I'm picking Pacquiao to win, a close decision. I do think Thurman could pull off a decision win, and I think either guy could knock each other out. I think Thurman has more of the one-punch power, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pacquiao caught Thurman with something, that Thurman doesn't see, and it could really rock him. But I think Pacquiao's more of the breakdown Thurman if he's going to knock him out mode. But Thurman does have the more one-punch power. So, interesting dynamic, interesting fight. Can't wait to see it on the 20th. The pay-per-view card starts at 6. I'm actually going to be in San Jose watching it at the Blue Chip downtown. Sports bar should be a good one. Make sure you're paying attention, guys. That's Saturday, July 20th. And, again, there's a DAZN card earlier that day from the United Kingdom, and there's an ESPN Plus card on Saturday. on Friday night. So with Teofimo Lopez, who is the breakout star that everybody should be watching. So that's it, guys. Have a good one. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.